You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. When a player doesn't like a contract, they hold out, right? Well, with Straight Talk Wireless, you never have to, obviously, because there is no contract. And they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Got a lot of stuff to get into today. Got a draft that's taking place in about 48 hours or so, a little over 48 hours or so. The New York Knicks have the 9th pick overall. The Clippers, the Los Angeles Clippers, have the 12th and the 13th pick overall. The Los Angeles Lakers, I believe their pick is like 25th. Okay, so it's going to be real interesting talking about them, who they should draft. Got some dude, Kevin Hooter, or whatever the hell his name is, out of Maryland. Some 6'7" shooter that, according to my man, Broderick Turner, does a great job for the L.A. Times. He's projecting that that's who the Lakers are going to take with the 25th pick. Where's the New York Knicks at number 9 overall, Mikal Bridges, because the person that they probably want, Michael Porter Jr., who was on Will Cain's show on ESPN Radio yesterday. This guy is expected to be drafted 8th overall by the Cleveland Cavaliers. We shall see. We shall see. We got that to get into today. Reggie Miller shooting down the Knicks free agent prospects. I'll get into that a little bit later as the show progresses. Of course, the Giants, Saquon Barkley, to appear in ESPN's The Magazine's annual body issue. I got something to talk to y'all about that when it comes to the body issue. Some of these dudes in ESPN, the magazine. I just got something to talk about that. But I got something to say about that. Just brace yourself, okay? I won't bring that up just yet. But brace yourself for what I'm going to say about that damn issue. That ESPN, the body issue, okay? Let me just point that out. And, of course, Gennady Golovkin agreeing to fight Canelo Alvarez. L.A. Times wrote an interesting story about that today. I'm definitely going to talk Lance Pugmire from the L.A. Times. He wrote an interesting story about that today. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on the show. Plus, Errol Spence Jr., IBF welterweight champion of the world. He'll be on with us in hour number 2. So we got a lot to get into, no doubt about that. Looking forward to having those conversations right here with Stephen A. on Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. First order of business, however, is news emanating out of Houston, which is news to some of you, ain't news to me. According to our very own Adrian Wojnarowski, Chris Paul is planning on staying in Houston. Obviously, Adrian Wojnarowski knows what he's talking about. It's something I said for weeks now, something I said a few days ago. And obviously, when you think about Chris Paul, it is what it is. The reality of the situation is clear. Chris Paul isn't expecting to go anywhere because Chris Paul is incredibly happy in Houston. No state income taxes in Texas. That means in the city of Houston, Texas, you ain't got to pay no state income tax. You're talking about, what is it, anywhere from an 8 to a 12% jump on your income, your take-home income. I think that matters. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but it would matter to me. Make no mistake about it. I get to bring that extra money home. That means a lot to me. And I'm quite sure it means a lot to Chris Paul. So we got to throw that out the way and appreciate that for what it is and just move forward in that regard. But we'll take this a step further. And we'll take it a step further from the standpoint that Chris Paul wants to stay in Houston. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all might think about the $150 to $200 million that Houston is going to have to pay him. You might ask yourself, at 32 years of age and injury prone, particularly when it counts in the postseason, is he worth those dollars? That might be the angle that y'all are exploring. That might be the kind of thing that you're thinking about. And I'm not poo-pooing that. I'm not knocking that. I understand. Because at 32 years of age, coming off an injury, a hamstring injury, Game 5 of that Western Conference Finals, could have happened to anybody, but seems to happen to him at the most inopportune of times. Since he's not getting any younger, since this is a thoroughbred league, since you have individuals in this league that are younger, more spry, can run up and down the court, plus they're taller, they're longer, you got to wonder, okay, what kind of money should Houston give CP3? Let me be the first to tell you. There's not a debate in this fight. You got to pay CP3 whatever Houston agreed to pay him when he agreed to come to Houston last year from L.A. That's what the hell you got to pay CP3. It's just that simple. Because there's nothing that CP3 did that would discourage you from trading him based on what you saw from the Houston Rockets this year. Best record in basketball. Home court advantage. When he was on the court, together with James Harden and Clint Capella, I think their record was like 51-3. They went to the conference finals. They had a 3-2 lead on Golden State, the reigning defending NBA champions, before Chris Paul went down, which to me elevates his value, not diminishes or compromises it. Now, obviously, there's reasons to have some level of trepidation because, my goodness, why do I want to pay you if all you're going to do is get hurt on me when it counts? But a hamstring pull could have happened to anybody, y'all. I was on the phone with Allen Iverson that day, the day of Game 6. I was on the phone with Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson said, look, man, Chris Paul ain't coming back. So what are you talking about? I said, he won't be back for Game 6, but Game 7. He said, my man, Chris Paul ain't coming back. He said that injury itself is a minimum of 2 to 3 weeks. Minimum. He ain't coming back in a couple of days, Stephen A. It ain't happening. And sure enough, Allen Iverson, basketball analyst wannabe, evidently. He was right. He was right. But again, that's the story to everybody else. Let me tell you what the story is to me. How Chris Paul is more interested in Houston than he is in L.A. and New York. How LeBron James is more interested arguably in Cleveland or Philly than he is in New York. How Paul George, New York ain't even crossed his mind. See, these are the kind of things I'm paying attention to because when I think about the media capital of the world, or the penultimate media capital of the world, which is second. Well, I should say penultimate because second, that means second to last. And I didn't mean that. I'm talking about second. In second place. That would happen to be the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California. And when I think about LA and I think about New York and I think about the fact that the superstars aren't salivating at the opportunity to come here, this is a problem. It's a problem. Now, the New York Knicks case is very depressing. Because they stink. And I'm talking record-wise. Me personally, I like a lot of people within the organization. I happen to like Steve Mills. And I'm rooting for him. I happen to like and respect Scott Perry and his resume a great deal. And I'm rooting for him. James Dolan, James Dolan is a billionaire who cuts the check. But my knock with James Dolan is I think somehow, some way, business gets in the way of basketball matters and compromises the New York Knicks franchise. Anybody can act like they don't know. It's a lie. New York Knicks can sit up there and talk all they want to. It's a lie. I'm not sitting there talking about it's a heavy hand and business is interfering with basketball. But the specter of all things, Cablevision, Madison Square Garden, etc., gets in the way to some degree of what you want to do basketball-wise. Because there's too many hands in the cookie jar, always interfering with something. And I definitely, at least that's what I've always heard. And I'm giving credit to that and credence to that because I don't want to believe that just one particular owner happens to be so inept that he's contaminated this franchise like a damn virus and nothing is good is going to come of it. I don't want to believe that about James Dolan. So instead, I'm going to take the nicer approach, Jonathan Winthrop, my producer extraordinaire, who gets along great with the Knicks. God bless you. Okay? I'm going to take the lighter side of it all. And I'm going to say, you know what? It's not James Dolan. Because we all know how sensitive they are when it comes to criticism of James Dolan, a.k.a., Charles Oakley. We all know how sensitive they are with criticism of James Dolan. So we don't want to do that. Never that. Never that. So instead what we will do is we will sit up there and say, no, it's the heavy hand of Madison Square Garden. Because that way, John, you're not personalizing it, okay? You're talking about the institution of Madison Square Garden as opposed to one man. I'm sure he can understand that. That's neither here nor there. The point is that he represents New York. Stinks. The Brooklyn Nets, they ain't relevant past Atlantic Avenue. They're just not. They're just not. The only thing synonymous with the Nets and the Barclays Center is Atlantic Avenue, Junior's Cafe, soul food spot extraordinaire, going to the Barclays Center, and traffic. That's it. It's nothing synonymous. There's nothing to write home about going to Brooklyn. So in the media capital of the world, where basketball resonated profoundly, you don't really have a professional basketball team to really lean on and be proud of. Now we go to L.A. Ladies and gentlemen, at least I'm able to look at Steve Ballmer, who's still depressed from losing CP3 from what I understand. At least I'm able to look at him and say, you know something? He brought in Jerry West. You still got Doc Rivers. Still got Doc Rivers. You got Jerry West. You got the 12th and the 13th pick in the draft. You still got DeAndre Jordan. And you can make some moves that can facilitate you getting a couple of dudes. I mean, I find it a bit suspicious that the Clippers have just been flying under the radar. I know Jerry West. He's always up to something. I don't underestimate Jerry West, a basketball savant if ever there was one. A man that I must confess I've come to genuinely like. I mean, I cannot emphasize to y'all enough on a few occasions that I've been fortunate enough to talk to Jerry West just about basketball. It's been an extreme honor. The man is 80 years old. First of all, we all wish we should be looking that good at age 80. I mean, I've gotten to know his son a little bit. Used to work with the Lakers. Now he's in Golden State. I got news for you. Yeah, there's Daddy, and then there's his son. But Daddy probably look almost as damn good as his son. Jerry West is a good-looking man. I mean, I got to admit to you, I hope I look like that when I'm 80. First of all, one thing is clear. I won't have nearly as much hair as him. I have no shot at that. I mean, I already got less hair than him. But Jerry West is a basketball savant, in all seriousness, and you know he's plotting something. And Doc Rivers knows a thing or two about basketball as well. He is a champion after all. You know he's plotting something. And Steve Ballmer has got bucks the Lakers could only dream of having. Even though they all have to play relatively the same. Which brings me to the Lakers. Regurgitating and reiterating the same point, and I'm going to stay on it until all of free agency is over. Magic Johnson has got to deliver. To be the Lakers, to have that tradition, to have the purple and gold as your backdrop, to be the star-studded franchise that you are, and to literally and legitimately have a shot at two of those stars, and a third basically has asked to be traded to you. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't come up empty. And by the way, as an aside, I apologize. I know that James Dolan and MSG, they sold Cablevision. I apologize for that. Just forgot to mention that. They sold Cablevision. So I shouldn't say Cablevision. But I got to tell you something. Your Magic, you got to figure out a way. I mean, and I just want y'all out there who love basketball, who pay attention to history and tradition, who knows the allure of the Lakers, who knows the greatness of Irvin Magic Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want y'all, especially folks in LA, I just want y'all to think about this for a second. This is very, very important. I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to take a sip of some natural spring water. And I want you to close your eyes and think about this. We are talking about the Lakers. Laker Nation. That purple and gold. 16 championship banners hanging from the rafters. Statues all outside of the Staples Center. Jerry West and Shaq. Kobe's going to be next. And Kareem, Magic. Even Oscar De La Hoya has a statue out there. Chick Hearn, the famed announcer for the Lakers, got a statue out there. I don't know if there's any room for the damn statues they could put out there. This is star-studded stuff. These are the Lakers. and it's a free agent summer, and you haven't made the playoffs in 5 years, and Irvin Magic Johnson has $70 million in cap space, enough to bring on board 2 max players, while at the same time you got the sunshine and the palm trees and everything from L.A. Live to Venice Beach to Melrose to La Brea, Wilshire, Rodeo Drive. I mean, they got it all. And you come up with nothing. Can you imagine how that's going to look? Because you know what everybody's thinking, right? See, if this were Jim Buss, we'd expect nothing. Other than to find him at Hooters, we'd expect nothing. We wouldn't expect anything from Jim Buss. But if we look at the Lakers and you hear the name Irvin Magic Johnson, and he's the one that makes the decision and he makes the call, and he's the one with the license to go out there and recruit, and he comes back with nothing. Do y'all understand the magnitude of that? Do you understand how that would demoralize Laker Nation? I gotta admit to you, I'm scared. I'm scared if that happened. I'm rooting for my man Magic Johnson. Well, let me stop lying. I'm rooting for myself too. Where the hell you think I want to be? So understand, there's a lot at stake. And we got to see what he's going to do. LeBron, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, in my estimation, Magic's held it down if he gets 1. He succeeded if he gets 2. If he pulls off the trifecta, he's the Magic Man. If he ends up with nothing, the pressure doesn't begin to describe the state of affairs associated with Laker Nation. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. That's just one item I want to get into. Another item I want to get into is Jay-Z connecting with Puma. Look, y'all, Puma's been out of the game for a while. They were there in the 70s. They just signed Walt Clyde Frazier to a lifetime contract because he was their first signature brand signee back in the 70s when he was a member of the Knicks, bringing a championship to New York. Little did we know that would be the last time. I'm 50. Ladies and gentlemen, at that time I was 5 years old. 5. That's how long ago it was that the New York Knicks have given me a reason to celebrate. But I digress. My point is, Clyde Frazier was their original brand representative, essentially. And now Puma's trying to get back into the game with the basketball shoes and beyond. They signed him to a lifetime contract. They signed Jay-Z on board as their creative director. And everybody thinks that Jay-Z is going to change the game. I hope he does. I root for my brother. But I'm reluctant to believe that that's going to occur. I think that Jay-Z will bring attention to the Puma brand. They'll be great when it comes to the hip-hop industry. But when it comes to actual basketball shoes, particularly being worn by 7-foot, 250-plus pounders like DeAndre Ayton and Mo Bamba, I'm not so sure. I'm just of the mindset, not that Mo Bamba's with Puma, was with Puma. I think it's DeAndre Ayton. Is it Mo Bamba? I think it's DeAndre Ayton. It's A.Smith and Bagley, and Marvin Bagley out of Duke. I don't know if they're going to wear Pumas on the basketball court. They might wear it to style and profile while they're hanging out. I don't know if they're going to wear it on the basketball court. So it's going to be real interesting to see what Jay-Z's able to pull off with that. I don't think that, Puma's in the same family as Adidas. Nike's king. I just don't know what to expect. I don't know what to assume about these boys. Time will tell. I'll have to wait and see. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 729-3776. That was Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage in America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. By the way, when you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screening questions based on your job requirements, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed.
Craving even more of Stephen A?
Him of all people.
For around-the-clock access to the man?
I'm Stephen A.
You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Stephen A. Smith and on Facebook at